Okay, let's get started. So we're just going to start off by working on this base piece. So we're just going to start off with our 6/0 Mayuki seed beads. I've gone ahead and put a stop bead on the end and left a good few inches long tail, about the width of my bead mat really, for doing the clasp at the end. So, and also this time, instead of doing it a width of 6, like this one, I'm going to do 4. So it's going to be more kind of like that width. Just for the purposes of it will be quicker to do this as a tutorial. Plus it might be easier for you guys. Plus you might not have hundreds of crystals, but you can go ahead and use fire polish or just an 8/0 seed bead instead of these. Or you could use a drop bead, or you know, anything really that you've got to hand. So I'm going to try one with the drop beads and seed beads without any crystals and do one that's not sort of so blingy, but we'll do that later on. But here we go. We're going to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4 of our 6/0 seed beads. I've done a mixture of colour, so it's kind of in keeping with the top and the bottom kind of match. So right, what we want to do is take your beads like so. I'm going to zoom in a tiny bit just so we can get close. Alright, so you want to take your beads, you'll be able to take this off in a minute, this stop bead. Pick up one bead, let's put them over here so I can reach them. Right, so you've got your 4 beads on like so, and you want a nice long thread so you don't have to keep changing threads. So I'm going to take one bead, we're going to add it on here. Like so. And we're going to make that sit side by side like so. Then I'm going to go back up the bead we've just added, like so. Pull that thread through, give it a nice tug in the direction you're going. Alright, like so. I'm going to pick up another red bead, or whatever colour it is you're doing, and I'm going to, this time, I'm going to go in here. So you've got 1, 2, I'm going to go through that second bead, like so, and up through there. Pull. You see how that one will sit like so. And don't worry if they're a little bit wobbly at first, because we're going to be going through all these beads quite a few times. And then back up. In fact, I think I'll go all the way down to the end just to secure it off a bit. So if you go down to the end bead, come through that, go through both beads there, and then back up those 2 that we've added, like so, and then put it nice and tight. I'm using a 10-pound fire line. 1, because I want it to be nice and firm, and 2, because we're working with bicones and I don't want them to, you know, rub on my thread. So this is a nice sturdy thread. Right, so we're going to pick up another one, and then we're going to go down through this bead here and this bead here. Go down through 2. Like so. It's going to sit like that. And we're going to go up through 2 of the ones we've just added. Like like so. I'm going to add one more. I'm going to go down this end bead and the one in front of it. So we're going down 2 beads each time. And pull. Like so. I'm just putting my thread across to get it under like so. And then up through the end too. Just like so. So at this point we can actually take that stop bead off because we don't really need it. So we'll take that off. Just slide off, that's it. Any beads you can use for that. Do keep a tight grip on this though because we don't want it coming loose. So now I'm gonna flip mine over like so. And then I'm gonna take another one of my red selection. I'm going to go down through this first bead here on the end, like so, and oops, don't get tangled up, and pull. And then that one will sit like that. I'm going to go back up through this one. And add our next bead. This time we're going to go through this bead here and then the one next to it, like so. And then back up the 2 beads we just added. And you're just going to keep going like this. That's basically all there is to it, square stitch. So we're going to add another one. And we're going to go down through this one. And then the one preceding it. So we're going down 2 beads. Like so. Thread across. And up those 2 beads, creating a weave that's about the same as it would be if you used a loom, really, only you don't have all the tassels sticking out like you would if you did it on a loom, because you have awful lot of tassels at the end when you do loom work. So this one we go down these 2, like so. And then put your thread across like that. And back up the 2 we've just added. So we're just going to keep going like this until we get to the length we want it to be. And that's going to be an individual thing because obviously that's going to depend on the size of your wrist or the size of the wrist of the person you're making it for if it's going to be a gift. So mine's just over, I don't know, I haven't measured my wrist lately. I've put on some weight. It used to be 6 inches, my wrist, which is super skinny, but it's definitely not that skinny anymore. Maybe 6 1/4, maybe even 6 1/2. So you need to measure your own wrist. So I can't really tell you how many beads you're going to need in length because it's going to vary for everybody depending on the width of your wrist. So you're just going to keep going with your square stitch. I think I've got about an hour till the Alex Murdoch, however you say it, trial will be live in about 3/4 of an hour. So I'm going to keep beading whilst I'm watching the live trial today. It should be good. So right, again, down 2, look. Down those 2. Yeah, it should be good today. He's on the stand again, so I like the live trials because we don't get things like that in the UK. Live streaming from a courtroom, no, definitely not. Not in Her Majesty's courts. So it's all very exciting for us to be able to get a glimpse into the courtroom and see what happens in a real live trial. And I think it's good because you get to be in the perspective of the jury. You're seeing what they're seeing, because I'd never heard of him. Although I have to admit, yesterday I did quickly go and watch the Netflix thing about Paul Murdoch and all that sort of scandal and stuff, and the other dead people surrounding this family, which is, yeah, highly suspicious. But yeah, anyway, gonna watch that trial. I do like a bit of true crime. So, true crime in the craft room. Gives me something to kind of listen to in the background that I don't necessarily have to, you know, watch with my eyes, is the point. So yeah, just keep going like that with your square stitch until you reach your desired length, and then I will show you what to do next. So, and it should work up really quickly. As you can see, look, that's kind of starting to build quite quickly, isn't it? One, because of the size of the beads, and two, because your width is only 4 beads across. So it's going to build up really quick. It's not going to take you too long. So yeah, just keep going like that with your square stitch until you get to your desired length. And you can just you can either take a little bit of string and mark it with a pen, or use a tape measure, whatever it is you've got to hand. So, and we're going to make it, that's the length for mine. I haven't measured it actually, I just measured it as in against my wrist, so, you know. And you want to leave about 1 inch for your clasp. So if you want 6.5 inches on your bracelet, don't forget you're going to be about 1 inch of your bracelet is going to be this clasp. So you want to account for that as well, do your maths. Alright, so we're just going to carry on, and I will meet you back when you've got to the right length. So happy beading, and I will see you on the other side when we get there. And then we get to add all those lovely sparkly crystals. I've got gorgeous colours there, look at that, yeah. So yeah, see you back very shortly. Okay, so I've run out of thread, so I'll show you how I'm going to add some thread. See if we can zoom in again. It's hard to not be in the light. Light's fading. Alright, so what you want to do is, once you get really low on thread, go up a couple of beads. Actually this way, sorry. Go up a couple of beads, like so, or just one even, doesn't matter how many, depending on how much thread you've got. Start off going up, oh there you go, it's come up 2, look. I've got those 2 beads, and I'm going to tie this thread off across the thread bridges, but not the ones that are going this way, because that's in between the beads and you'll see them, but the thread bridges that are going, there's a line of thread through each set of beads, you want to go through that thread bridge, so that it's not going to show. So I'm going to go up and under and catch the thread bridge that goes under there. Just like so. So I'm going under the thread bridge, pull it back through the loop and pull tight, like so. Might do a second knot as well. So they call it a surgeon's knot. The first one you go through once, the second one you go through twice, and they call that a surgeon's knot. Whether surgeons actually do this or not, it's just something they say in the beading world. Right, and then up through here, give it a little tug to pop your knots inside the bead like so, and then your knots won't show. Then you can go down this one, and hopefully you'll be able to tie a knot on this thread bridge as well if you've got enough thread. And then tie another knot here, and then weave your thread and cut your tail. And then when we add a new thread, we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to tie a knot through the thread bridge, work about over here, tie a knot in there with your new thread, up and down, tie a couple of knots on the way until we're coming back out where we want to be. Okay, so that's all there is to it with adding and taking away thread. Adding and taking away, what am I talking about? Finishing off, yeah, finishing off a thread and adding a new one. So yeah, that's all you've got to do. And then I'll meet you when you get to the end. I'm nearly there now, just over halfway. So, right, see you when you get to the end. I'm going to tie this thread off and add a new thread. I'm going to go ahead and add some thread. So, I'm going to go up into these beads here. Try and get through the two. Goodness me, doesn't want to go in. Oh, it's gone through three, that'll do. So I've gone in here. I'm going to leave enough to hold on to. And I'm going to go up through this thread bridge here. Under there. Thread bridge going up and down. And the same again, holding onto that tail with my other fingers so it doesn't slip through. I'm going to start off with just one knot here. And I'm going to go up. And down. Come up through that second one there. Oh, first one. That'll do. Any bead will do at this point. I'm just doing knots. So then I'm going to do the same again. Like so. And one of these knots will be one of those surgeon's knots. Not all of them, some of them will just be single knots, but some of them will be the surgeon's knot. So you go through once, and on that same spot, go through another knot, and then go through the loop twice. So that's your surgeon's knot. And like so. Down through the beads, which sort of pops your knots inside the row of beads, like so. Give it a little tug, and then so on and so forth until you're coming out of the end, and then we carry on like so. And then that tail here you started with, it's coming out there, you can just snip that off now. Careful not to snip you off. And if you do have little bits sticking out, you can take your threads up, or you can take a lighter and just burn that. See that little bit there? And actually touch it, just go close, and that will shrivel it back up inside the bead. So that's that. Right, we're back to beading. Right, meet you when you get to the end of your square stitch. Okay, we've got to the end. Mine is 36 rows. 36 rows. So I'm going to add this little bead for the end of something a slightly smaller one on this end. I haven't got a red one, so that one will have to do. It's a sort of dusty pink colour, but I think that will look fine. Excuse me. So, it's up to you. We could come up, zoom in. We could just go all the way up to the end, through here, all the way out there, and then down, and then out here, or you can do it by going up here and jumping across, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go up, I'm coming out of here, I'm going to go up the one beside it, like so, and then jump across there. Just time folding my thread like I have been. Up through here. Okay, and then up through there and out through that one. Basically, you just want to be coming up out these middle two, because that's where we're going to add our little clasp bead, or whatever clasp of your choice. So right, then I'm going to pick up Let's see, we'll do 3. Let's go with these ones. 1, 2, oh, I'm going to do this colour. 1, we can scoop them like that. 3, and then actually I'm going to use one of these bigger ones. No, I'm going to use an 8 seed bead if I've got one the right colour. There you go, I've got a red 8 that'll do. Let's grab one of those. Oops, just want one. An 8 seed bead, I think I'll use this time. That's not what I used last time, but you know, you can just make it up as you go along, whatever you want to use. So I'm using an 8 after the 3 11 and I'm going to take the bead of my choice for my clasp, like so, and then I'm going to add 3 of these of red colour. 3 of those, and then that's what you should have on your needle, basically. And then I'm going to go back down through this bead here, the big one. Oops, get them out of the way. Back down through there and through just the 8 seed bead. Back out through there. You can use a size 10 beading needle for this as well, by the way, but I'm using a 12 because I just snapped my last one on the blue bracelet and I haven't got any more size 10s. Which is annoying because the 12s are really hard to thread, especially with £10 file line. Hey ho. Right, like so. So they look picot on top. And 3 more of these. 2, 3. And then those on your needle. I'm coming out of, not the first one, coming up that second one. Now I want to go into down 1, jump down 2. So we're just using those middle 2 beads of the 4, like so. So come back through there, pull up, and you will have that. Now then what I'm going to do is go back up and reinforce everything. So up through those ones, through the 8 through here. And then with these ones, I'm just going to go up through this one. I'm not going to go through that 3rd one, the top of the picot there. I'm going to miss that one and go through these 2 basically. So go up through one and down through the other. Oh, it's fiddly, especially from this distance. Hang on a minute. Get in there, come on. It in there, and then skip the middle one, and that'll make your picot nice and tight, then out through the 8 all the way down like so. Give that a nice pull, like so, and then back down this one. Like so. And then you're going to go around and reinforce that again, and then make some knots. You can make your knots at the bottom here, or I'll do one here, look. Right, what I'll do is I'll actually won't. I'm going to go through here, go back down through your 2 beads that you're using, like so. And then coming up here, I am going to do 1 knot here at the base. So, and I'm going to go through it one more time because this is going to be your clasp. This is the bit that's going to have the pressure on it, you know, with the fact of it's your clasp. So you're going to be fiddling with this bit more as well, taking it on and off, etc. got up through it at the same time as the sun's almost about to set as well, so we're racing against the sunset as usual. Because it's horrible to bead in fake light. The artificial lights give me a headache, so even though I've got a light, it gives me a horrible headache, so done a couple of little knots in there that help secure it. And then I need a proper light. There we go, come on. That's it and down. Alright, so that's that end of your clasp. Let's finish that end of the clasp. So that's going to be one end, and we'll do the other end when we finish, and that's what our little tail or long tail is for. So now we want to go back up here and come out the top there, and we can start doing our rug weave. So you might need to change thread. I think I'm going to carry on in this thread, even though I am going to need a new thread at some point soon. But for the sake of getting on with this before the light fades, I'm going to show you what we do next. Right, so you're coming up here. Now what I want you to do is pick up, how many was it? Yeah, 4 of your seed beads. Now, before we start this, I'm going to be switching, I think, or maybe not. Maybe I'll just stick to having that as the middle. But you can switch anyway. You can switch what colour seed beads. You can use more than one colour seed bead. You can use several colour seed beads. You can switch them up. This is where you can just make up your own pattern, really. So I'm going to switch up the seed beads. So if it doesn't look even, what I'm doing is because it's not meant to be. See it? So the overall effect is like this. In here I've got some of these are the lighter colours of the blue and some are the darker. So I've got 2 different colour seed beads throughout this whole piece as well. So, right, coming out here, I'm going to pick up 4 of my seed beads, whichever colour of your choice. 1, 2, 3, 4 of the seed beads and choose one of your crystals. I'm going to choose a nice red. There's different reds throughout here, but this is the ruby. And then another 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to, oops, actually I'm coming out the wrong place, sorry, I've just told you wrong. I want to be coming out of here. Didn't mean to go all the way out the end, sorry. Folks, come out here, not at the end. 1 bead before the end. Right, and then pick up your beads. Sorry about that, guys. I'm only human. Oh. Right, so that's what you have on your needle. 4 on each side and your crystal in the middle. Coming up here, so we're going to go back this way from the end. We're going to go down through 2 beads, not just the bead you're going into. So we're going to come out with that second bead there like that. And pop that into place. So now you're coming up here. Now you're going to pick up 1, scoop them if I can, 4, here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, and instead of adding another one of this, I'm going to add one of this other colour. So 4 of those and 1 of those, 5, and then another 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And it doesn't matter, you don't actually have to do that, you can just add the same colour as what you're doing. I'm just trying to switch mine up a little. Right, then we're going to go back down through the bead we're coming out of the other side of it. So I'm going down through this bead and going down through 2. Oh, that sun's just gone in, look. that big shadow, big cloud coming over. Right, down through. It's fiddly, hang on. Might have to bend your beads a little just so that you can get that needle up in between like that. Between those beads. Like so. And then pull. The dog's having a dream beside me, so if you can hear weird breathing and stuff, it's the dog. Right, so then you've got your second loop, like so. Then you're going to pick up 4 more of your seed beads. 3, 4, and one of your other reds. So I'm going to choose the lighter red. Come on, you. Just don't want to go on my bent needle, look. The state of that needle. It's been used rather a lot. Right, and then another 4 of your chosen colour seed bead. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, okay, so each time you're going to be going back through the other side of the bead that you're coming out of. So I'm coming out of here, so I'm going to go back through the other side of it, and you're always going to go down 2 and come out of that bead below it. Try to explain it really clearly, because once it starts getting full of beads, it's hard to see what you're doing. Like so, yeah? Then we've only got 1 more bead. This time I'm going to do the other way. I'm going to do 4 of these. 1 of these. And 4 of these. 1, 2, 3. And 4. Come on, number 4. There we go. Like so. And the same again, I'm coming out of this side of the bead. I want to go in the opposite side of that bead I'm coming out of, like so. And pull. And just push them out the way, like so. And like little loops, like a rug. And then we're just going to continue like that. So now we're coming up here, we go down our next row and up 1 bead, like so. And on the last loop of the last row, look, no crystal, so this time we start with a crystal. So I'm going to choose 4 of my seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 seed beads. Sorry, 4. And a crystal. There's the, choose a clear one this time. One of the clear ones. And then another 4, and it is really 1, 2, 3, 4, yep. So each time on your needle you'll have that. And that's really all there is to it. So coming up this side here, going in the opposite side. So the first time at the end of each row you're just going down that 1, and thereafter it's always going to be 2. But the first one of each row will be 1 and then 2. So we're going back in the other side of this bead and down through 2. If you can do it in 1 pass, good. If not, you have to go through 1 bit and then the next. So there we go, that's 1. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1 of these. 4 of these. It's basically 4, 1, and 4, which is the same as with the crystals. You've still got the same amount of beads each time, but you're just not adding a crystal to every one. Right, so we're coming out the end of this bead. So we're going to go back in the opposite side of that same bead and down 2, like so. Like so. And this time I'm going to go with 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. And somewhere in here we've got some They're all very different. That's on the shiny ones. I'll take one of those. There's, believe it or not, 4 different reds. Or is it 5? 4 or 5 different reds in here. They're very slightly different. Some of them are more different than others, but right. And then another 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're coming out of this side here of this bead. We're going the opposite to the side of that bead and out through the end. Just do one more row with you so you get the gist of it. And pull like so. We've just got 1 bead left on the end there. This time I'm going to get 4 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 of these. And 4 of these 11s. So basically it's 4. There we go. Right, so now we're on the last bead of that row. So we're coming out of the end. So we're going to go back through the other side of that bead, the opposite side to where our thread is coming out. Just like so. And that's your next row. And you can see now how it's starting to grow. I think it's going to look nice in the slimmer version. Right, so we're coming out of here. Go up the first bead in your next row. Remember that every beginning of the row, your first one, just 1 bead. And pull. And then this time we're going to have a crystal. I'm going to do 4 of these. You can just scoop your beads like that and get as, you know, but then you've got to be a bit more careful about counting them afterwards. Or you can pick them up one by one. Find if you scoop them up a bit like that. Can you see that? No, you can't, can you? You can scoop like this, look. There you go, and that's already got me my 4. Right, where were we? Right, crystal, yep. So, coming, yep, and we're going to go back in the other side of that bead that we're coming out of, and down the one after it too. So from here on it's down to just 1 at the beginning of every row. So down that second bead. Oh, my voice vanished then. I said and it vanished. Pull and pull. Right, and then the same with these. I'm going to pick up some of these. We want 4, 2, 3, 4, and I think I'll make one of these for the number 5, and then another 4. So I'm not going to put the same on everyone. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so we are coming out the end of that one. So we're going to go back in the opposite side, like so, and up through that bead. They might be a bit tight sometimes, so you might have to get your fingernail in there and bend it up a little bit. No, it's not wanting to come out. In there, and then separate those beads, really get in there. That's it, and out there. Sometimes it will be a little bit tight, but just keep wiggling until you get it through. That's that next one. See how that's coming together now. Right, and then we've got, let's pick up another 4 of these. 2, 3, 4, and another crystal. I think we'll do another one of the deep red seed beads. And we're coming out of this one here. Just going to go back down through the opposite side and out through the end. So, and we've got one more bead to go through, so I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the same colour this time, and all in the shinier red. And I'm coming out obviously the other side of this one, and back out through there. And basically that's all there is to it. We just keep going like that. So as you can see, then starts to get that lovely shaggy rug appearance. It's shining on the light now. The sun's shining in now. There we go, like so. So I think it's rather lovely. So we just got to keep going like that now until we get to the end, and then when we get to the other end I'll show you how to, lovely side by side, don't they, look at that. When we get to the end I'll show you how to add your other bit for your clasp and finish off. Yeah, and that dog stop licking. He always licks when I make a video. So yeah, meet you when we get to the other end of here, and we'll finish off together. There we go. He's here as usual, trying to get in. Hey, we can do some beading. Are you jealous of the beads? Hey, are you jealous? He's jealous. Oh, he's a big jealous boy. Oh, look at the camera. Say hello to everybody. Say hello. Matter of fact, in this one, when I did the loops without the crystals, I used an 8/0 seed bead in the top of every one. So that one, oh shoot, sorry, I've still got my cork here I'm going. Yeah, so you can use all, just, 9 of your seed beads, or you can use 4 and then put say an 8/0 in between, or a smaller crystal, or really that's the beauty of it. You can kind of make it up as you go along. Like I say, I'm going to try one with the drop beads and the seed beads without crystals, so it'll be a lot more earthy looking, if you like. So yeah, anyway, I just thought I'd let you know that you could use an 8/0 seed bead for your middle bead in between your ones with the crystal, which is what I've done on there. I mean, the overall effect it creates, you can't specifically really tell. It's hard until you look up really close, but yeah, it just gives it a slight different effect overall. So yeah, you can use an 8/0 in the middle if you want, or just use the seed beads. And you don't have to put a separate colour in the middle either. You can just use 9 of the same colour. So you can just stick with 1 colour seed bead, you can use 2 colour seed beads, you can even use 3 different colours of seed bead. And yeah, like I say, put either an 8/0 in the middle or a different colour in the middle, or just all 9 the same colour. It's up to you. So that's where you get to use your creative license and make it your own and add whatever you want to it. But I'll show you how to do it the basic way and with crystals. I will do another one after this, like I said, which won't be not so bling bling, more of an earthy looking one with some yeah, some different colours, different kind of stones instead of the bicone crystals. So yeah, I'll meet you when you get to the other end. When you've filled up your entire base, and then we'll add the bit for the other end and finish off. Okay, so if you've made it to the end, well done. It's quite reasonably long project, but once you get the rhythm, I find it really easy, quite simple, the way it sort of stitches up quite well. For the base, I used these mix of beads. So for my 6/0s, and you could just do one plain colour, but these, I just thought they looked kind of cool. So they came like this, mixed in the tube. The crystals, I made my own mix from the bags that I had, and you'll need at least 2 colours of seed bead. Well, you can just use 1 colour like we said before. So anyway, you've got this far. That's the outside and the inside. Take your tail thread and bring it up between the first and the second bead, because we're going to be working on just the 2 middle beads like we did with that end. So yeah, and there's no magic tricks. We're simply going to add some beads and then measure it round to make sure it fits our little bead on that end. So we're going to do I'm going to start with 3 of the reds seed beads. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to take one of these larger beads. Use one of these instead of the 8. One of these red ones I think would be nice. Do you think that's too big? That might be a bit too big actually. What did I use on the other one? I used an 8L, I think. Yeah, I did. Right, let's see if we've got one in the right colour. Don't think we have, to be honest. Let's have a look. Oh yes, we have. We've got a red. There we go. So we're not actually going to use the 6O. We're going to use that 8O. That one. I think I've done 3. What did I do on the other one? I did. I'm going to do 4, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. Something to be slightly longer than the other one. 1 of these. 1 of the 8Os. What have I got there? Yeah, 4 of the 11s. 1 of the 8s. Like so. And then we're just going to add a bunch of beads. Let's try 15, something like that, shall we? Can't see there. 1, 2. I'm going to make them but 2 colours. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Let's have a look. That's, oh, I forgot to change colour, didn't I? Take those ones off. 3, let's do another 2 of those. Really doesn't matter, it's just up to you how you do it. Just want mine to be mixed colours to blend with the rest. Right, so I'm going to pull those down. And how many I've got really isn't relevant, because you're going to have to measure it to whatever size bead you've done. And if you haven't done a bead, you might have used a clasp, you might have used there's also, I think a cut button would be really nice. I love the cut buttons, they're nice and easy too. So what I do is put it down like so until it's tight, and just pinch it, and then try it against your bead and see if it fits. If that goes over all right, that's fine. So that's enough for my one. So yeah, I'll come back through the 8O, and underneath that, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to pick up another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're coming out of the second bead. So you want to go into the next one beside it. Just using the 2 middle beads, like we did with the other end of the clasp. So try and get it through both. Oops, doesn't want to go. Through both those middle beads like that, and just pull. Try not to tangle up on your there. And at this point you can give it another check just to make sure it does. Just hold it tight, wrap around your fingers like this so that this bit's tight. It looks small, but maybe not. Make sure I'm holding it nice and tight there. You know, it does fit, look. It's just fine. Okay, so once you've done that, basically, you're just going to keep looping round and tying off some knots. Go around and reinforce everything. Obviously you don't have to use a bead for your end clasp, your clasping. You can yeah, use whatever clasp you like. But I just love the fact that you don't have to buy anything else. You know, you can just use all beads. So sometimes some of the clasping, I find them, oopsie, I've gone around that thread, come around the outside of the beads. I'll go and undo that and redo that. But anyway, get your get your loop on like so, and then that's basically all there is to it. So yeah, I got rid of my loop of thread that wasn't meant to be there. I'm gonna come out. I'm not. So anyway, I'm gonna go back up, aren't I? Of course. Not focused. Right, I'm just reinforcing at this point now. Get that all finished off. Tie a few knots as we go. I must be not awake this morning. So I looped that thread on the outside. Knock a wombat. I'm going to do a little knot here as well. Start doing your knots because we're going to be finishing off. I mean, you can go through this as many times as you think. I like to go through it good, as many times as my needle will go, and have as much thread as I've got left, to be fair. So whatever thread I've got left on my needle, I'll just keep going until it's gone, weaving through this little unit at the end. And this is £10 fire line, so it's highly unlikely that it's going to break, but it is your clasp area. That's the bit that's going to get the most wear and tear. So nice and secure, nice and strong. So I'm going to weave through that a couple more times, and then we'll be done. And that's really all there is to it. Now you have your finished piece. I actually think I like the skinny one nicer than the thick one. I'm wishing now maybe I should have done this one slim as well. So yeah, just undo it. And you can do it and, you know, undo it and do it with one hand. I think that's a great result. I love it, absolutely love it. So that's the two. One is, yeah, quite a bit bigger than the other. I actually like both. There you go, the red. That's the other side. I hope you find it inspiring. Like I said, you can add any beads. I'm going to experiment with some other ones, so when I get those results I'll show you. But so if you've got to the end, well done. Hope I inspire you to make something beautiful. That's it for now. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.